Hey, everybody, and welcome back to For the Booze.
Back for the third time tonight.
Yes. Not for you guys,
Look,
but
I'm sick, okay? And I hit the wrong button a couple times. It's fine.
it's funny.
It is what it is. But we have some big news to tell you guys. And if you hear anything in the background, we're sorry. We're new to cold environments, and we have a little heater running.
Yes.
So if you hear it, that's what it is.
We record in a basement,
Yes.
so it's a little chilly.
It's a little chilly down here.
And it's the beginning of fall here.
Yeah.
And things are already changing.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Oh.
The side of the mountain, like the little valleys are turning red already.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited
Yes.
every day.
The last couple nights have been in the 30s.
I know. I love it.
So cold.
I love it.
And we've yet to turn the heater on.
Yeah.
So-
No, we just leave the windows open and put sweaters on.
So-
I love it.
We have big news to tell you guys. We're going to need you to sit down like your mom and dad just brought you into the room. And they're looking at you to talk to you. And while we are joking and getting along really well, we have to let you guys know that we're not going to be together anymore.
No, we're not.
For about 6 weeks. And then Megan will be back.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody's noticed, if you're an ongoing listener of the show, things have been kind of sporadic and all over the place. It's because behind the scenes, there's been a lot going on. And congratulations to Megan for getting the big promotion that we've been, putting our life on hold and moving around the country for the last year. So congratulations, baby.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I got a big promotion, but I have to go through quite a bit of training.
That's right.
And quite a bit of travel
Yeah.
for the training.
Without
And
me. God.
yeah. So
She'll still be doing the show with us, but
Yes.
it's going to be remotely. She'll be
Yes.
doing it from another location. We did get another computer, so that way
I'm
she...
going to be bringing a microphone and bringing all the stuff.
Old Faithful. You're going to be bringing one of the original microphones. They actually sound really good.
I know. I know.
Hopefully the DI box works nicely.
If not, we can use what we used when we first moved here.
No, I actually think the old setup's better.
Okay.
I do.
Either way, I will still be here, but not be here.
It's a little, there's a little more involved, but it's not hard. It's easy. But yeah, so she'll still be doing it. But so if you've noticed things have been off a little bit lately, that's why.
Yes.
We've been planning on this for quite a long time, and now it's all happening.
And thank you to you, babe, for being here and holding down the fort.
Mr. Mom. To anybody who didn't know, I have not worked in over a year, and it is what it is. But now we also have to think about, we are going into our favorite time of year.
Yes.
It is now spooky season.
I'm super sad that I'm going to be away for spooky
I know,
season.
me too. But we are going to do some good episodes for spooky season.
I am still so very excited.
I had a bunch of ideas again this year about, I remember I said it earlier about I wanted to get like other podcasters to, but I guess I was aiming kind of high. Not every other podcast wants to, help another podcast get ahead.
Right.
I'm not, I don't know how else to say it, and that's fine. I get it. But what I decided that we're going to do this year, we always do locations, and locations are fun.
Yes.
But instead,
we love locations.
Yeah. Well, we're never going to stop doing them.
No.
But I think for the holiday season, as you look around your neighborhood and, your house, and you see those things that you get from antique stores or stuff like that, you got to wonder sometimes, are these items haunted?
Do things come attached to them?
Are they sticking with you everywhere you go? Have you ever been haunted and you're like, it's the house, and then you leave and then bam, you realize it's not.
Right.
What could it be?
Right. Is it you?
Yeah.
Or
Is it that thing you inherited from your grandmother?
Yes.
Or, that thing you bought at the thrift store? You never know. So this Halloween season, we are going to focus on haunted items. And we're going to end it on Halloween with a big name one.
Yay.
That I've already got planned out.
I'm so excited.
But
and we do quite a bit of thrifting. So
Quite a bit. We
think
do a lot of thrifting.
We think about these things a lot.
We do a lot of thrifting. And not only that, but I am a record collector.
Yes.
And I buy a lot of vintage records.
Yes.
So these are things that I think about. And we own not only just a lot of thrift store things, we own a lot of like stuff that you inherited from when your grandfather passed away. Mm-hmm. So we have items in our possession that meant a lot to some people.
Yes.
And it made me think, what is spookier than a haunted location? It's the haunted things that you have that you might not know you have that you can't get rid of.
Right.
So this Halloween season, we are focusing on haunted items.
Yay.
Now, to kick it off, what I wanted to do is we're going to do our first ever kind of like we're going to talk about more than one thing today. And I found this amazing article on, I think it's called dummies.com, but it lists a lot of the world's most famous haunted items. And what I want you listeners to do, and it's still going to be the same format. I'm going to read these and we're going to discuss them and we're going to ask, the same question. Do you think it's real? But I want a little listener participation in this time because this is for Halloween. And I want you guys to vote on which ones you would like to hear this Halloween season. And I will pick the top 3. And for the first 3 weeks of October, I will do those episodes.
Oh, so cool.
So remember, forthebooze12@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us on X, Twitter, any social media we're on.
Yeah.
Anywhere you follow us. It doesn't matter. Write it in. I will write all these down. I will get all the votes together, and we will do those 3.
Yes. Yes.
If not, you're going to make me pick. So I want you guys to get what you want to hear. Now, to kick it off, we're going to do one that we've talked about off air a lot, and that is Dybbuk boxes.
Okay.
Now, according to Jewish folklore, a Dybbuk is a dark spirit that takes over the bodies of living people and uses them for evil. Legend has it that a Dybbuk can be trapped inside of a box and prevented from causing mischief unless the box is open. Now, several years ago, the Dybbuk box, shown in the following figure, and there's a picture below, it's the one at Zach Bagans Museum, came up for sale on eBay. The seller listed a vintage wine cabinet that came from the estate of a woman who survived a World War II concentration camp. The seller, an antique dealer named Kevin Manis, claimed that the first owner's granddaughter was terrified of the box, warning him that her grandmother said that it held a Dybbuk. After buying the cabinet, he was plagued by a series of unfortunate events and reoccurring nightmares of an old hag that would brutally attack him, causing him to wake up with bruises on his body. Now, he also experienced an overpowering stench of cat urine in his home. Tragically, his mother suffered a stroke while opening the box. Not surprisingly, he decided to get rid of it.
Wow.
Now, the box eventually ended up in the hands of Missouri Medical Museum director Jason Haxton, who was skeptical about the powers attributed to the box. He soon changed his mind. After acquiring the box, he began to experience a series of medical maladies, including bleeding eyes and strange rashes. He also began to dream of being attacked by an old hag, and would also awake with bruises on his body. Kevin Manis reported that while the box was in Haxton's basement, a man died there, and his body was found lying next to the box. He eventually became so unnerved by the box that he reached out to scientists and rabbis, who instructed him to build a wooden ark, lined with 24-karat gold, place the box inside, and bury it in the ground. I'm going to read a little more of this.
Okay. I'd like to hear a little more.
Okay, I am going to read a little more of this, and this is focusing on the one that we've all seen. I'm going to stop at a certain point because I have my own feelings of, we'll wait till we get there.
Yeah.
And I'll explain.
Yeah.
Now, the box was opened during the time that it was owned by Jason Haxton. He retrieved it from his burial site for a special appearance on the show Deadly Possessions. It was then arranged that the box would be placed in a containment room so that Kevin Mannis, the previous owner, could confront his fears about the box. When he opened it, he found the contents were intact. There was a dried rose, 2 coins from the 1920s, a small gold kiddish wine goblet, 2 locks of hair, an octopus-legged candlestick holder called a Shabbat, and an engraving of the word shalom, which means peace in Hebrew. This is where I'm going to stop reading it, because this is where we get into the story that we were all unfortunately subjected to on Ghost Adventures lockdown, which might, in my opinion, and I don't want to offend anybody out there, was one of the biggest turds I've ever seen on TV.
It was pretty bad.
I will never in a million years be convinced that that was real, and that was me opening a bottle. I know that's what you were looking at.
Yes. That was the one that came out during like quarantine and stuff, right?
Yeah, it was quarantine lockdown, or I don't even remember what it was
whatever
called.
it was called.
It was terrible.
Pretty awful. Pretty awful. Like, we do make fun of Zach Baggins a lot.
It's hard. It's really hard not to.
Correct. Very correct in that statement there, dear. But we do enjoy Ghost Hunters or Ghost
Adventures. I really do enjoy Ghost Hunters. And by the way, all these were written by Mr. Zach Bagans.
Oh.
The stories are good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the stories. My problems are with him. But regardless, okay, we're going to get away from the topic because we will end up focusing on him. And this isn't about him. This is about haunted items.
Okay.
Now, we've had a lot of discussions about Dybbuk boxes.
Yes.
Right? Because it seemed like there were no such thing. And then one day around the pandemic, maybe a little before, they just took off. Mm-hmm. Right? And I guarantee anybody listening out there, you could go online right now and search Dybbuk box for sale, and you will find thousands.
So very many of
thousands.
them.
Like, they're just boxes that somebody dripped some candle wax on.
And like, people in the YouTube world have a channel, and everybody jumped on the Dybbuk box train.
Dybbuk with a B.
And I don't know, everyone was just like collecting them. Everybody, like, everyone had them. Like, how many?
Well, I often wonder, how far back does actual history of the Dybbuk box goes? Mm-hmm. Right? Like I said, this is not, we're not going in depth on anything today. We're presenting you with what maybe you would want to hear more of. I am curious as to how much information about a Dybbuk box there was before the Dybbuk box craze came to be.
Yes. Maybe like where it originated. How many...
How imposing of a thing was it before it became a YouTube sensation?
Yeah.
Right. I don't doubt that. I'm not Jewish, so I don't know. Right. And I'm not going to claim to know things that I don't. I'm sure that Hebrew have their own version of demons, as every, religion does.
Right.
But was it as prevalent in their older religion as it is in modern day? I have such a back and forth about the Dybbuk box, because I could see how there could be something to this, but I have seen so many phony things about it that when I hear it, I instantaneously roll my eyes.
I feel like there could be an original thing surrounding this, like way back in the day, right? And say there was like a couple handfuls of Dybbuk boxes that were used in a correct manner, right? And they were used to house what they are supposed to house. And I feel like they kind of got lost for a long time. And then all of a sudden they came back around, and it just went totally off course and totally just mass produced for entertainment type thing.
I think now it is for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Because if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know if this was even true because I'm sure I saw this somewhere in a YouTube video, was that the original story was there were only 13 or something like that. Mm-hmm. There was only supposed to ever be 13 in existence, and that was it. And they like housed like the 13 prime demons or something to that effect. And if that's the case, then why are there so many?
Right. And wasn't I think I remember hearing that story, but weren't they like shipped off to corners of the world?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, I remember exactly, like, you're remembering the same thing I'm remembering. But how much of this was made up?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I get that, but I don't know.
So if this is a topic that you would like to hear a full backstory on for Halloween, reach out to us and let us know, because this is what I'm actually curious about. We're going to do this regardless at some point, because this is a big topic, and I need to know more for myself whether or not I need to get all the information together and see whether or not finally if I think it's real or not. But where we stand now and everything you've seen and heard, what do you think about Dybbuk boxes?
I definitely need to know more. So for now, I'm going to say it's big fat.
I'm actually going to say it's 50-50.
I don't know.
Because if the original legend that I heard about the 13 being real, I don't know about demons, but there could be something attached to them. You know, the Hebrew religion goes way back.
Yes.
Way back.
100%.
So maybe there's something to it, but I would lean more towards there being a minuscule amount versus thousands that are being sold on eBay.
Well, I highly doubt there's thousands and thousands and thousands of them around. I want to know more before I even start to put any stock in anything. But I could see the potential for, like, say, the original 13 story that we heard being true.
Yeah, I agree.
But I want to know more.
Well,
but as of right, the mass-produced amounts now,
yes,
no, absolutely
it's
not.
Garbage. Now, the next one is called The Devil's Rocking Chair. Now, in 2019, Zach Bagans purchased another macabre object for the Haunted Museum, dubbed the Devil's Rocking Chair. It is of unknown origin, but was passed to the Glatzel family in the early 1950s. It was simply a piece of household furniture until the summer of 1980, when it became the center of a tragedy that struck the family. The sinister relic became part of one of America's most notorious exorcisms, which involved 2 demonic possessions and an eventual murder. It is believed that the chair, quite literally, was cursed by the devil. They say that the horror began in July 1980 when David Glatzel, 11, became possessed by a demon. One night, he woke up screaming, claiming that he had been visited by a, quote, man with big black eyes, a thin face with animal features, jagged teeth, pointed ears, horns, and hooves. David was not the kind of kid who liked scary movies or who was likely to make things up, and he was visibly shaken by his experience. He became withdrawn and quiet. His older sister, Debbie, asked her fiancé, Arnie Johnson, if he would stay with her family for a while and see whether it would help David get out of his depression. Do you remember this?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right, I'm just making sure.
Uh-huh.
Now, Arnie, of course, agreed, but things didn't get better. Now, David reported more nightmares about the terrifying man, who promised to take his soul. Odd scratches and bruises began to appear on the boy, and all the injuries seemed to happen while he was asleep. Odd sounds which Arnie couldn't explain were heard in the attic. Worst of all, David began to claim that he was now seeing the beast while he was awake. He was always seen sitting in the family's rocking chair, which the beast now claimed as his own. David, and later Lorraine Warren, was the only one who saw the beast in the chair, but family members often saw it rocking back and forth, seemingly under its own power. This is a good one. This is another one I'd really like to do. The family first brought over a priest to bless the house. This didn't help. In fact, it made it a little worse. The sounds in the attic got louder. David's visions increased, and he began to hiss at his family and speak with multiple voices. He started to quote from Paradise Lost, a book that most 11-year-olds aren't exactly familiar with. During the night, someone had to stay up and watch David, who woke up every 30 minutes, sometimes having seizures. Desperate for help, the Glatzels called Ed and Lorraine Warren, who began making regular visits to their home, bringing more priests with them and performing exorcisms. Many of those exorcisms took place while David was seated in the rocking chair. The chair itself moved about the house on its own, mysteriously disappearing and reappearing in different places. Most incredibly, it levitated on numerous occasions in full view of witnesses, including the Warrens, clergy members, and shocked family members. It happened once while David was sitting in it during an exorcism. This is a big one, and I'm sure most of you have already caught on to what we're talking about. This was just a movie.
Yep. You were like reading the story, and I could see the movie in my head.
This was the newest.
The Devil Made Me Do It.
The Devil Made Me Do It. Thank you. I can
yes.
remember. Now, after a final exorcism, the demon left David. He soon began to show signs of improvement. However, his sister's fiancé, Arnie Johnson, was not so lucky. Apparently, the demon left David and entered him. He started making the same kind of growls and hisses that David had made, as well as slipping into trances for a period of months before killing his landlord, Alan Bono, with a 5-inch pocket knife, stabbing the man over and over as Debbie watched. Bono died a few hours later in the hospital, and Johnson was picked up by the police 2 miles from the murder scene. 8 months later, Johnson appeared in court with a plan to enter a plea of not guilty, due to demonic possession. For the first time in American legal history, demonic possession was used as a reason for murder. It didn't work. Judge Robert Callahan refused to accept the plea since there was no evidence to show that Johnson was possessed. Johnson eventually went to prison for his crime. He was found guilty of first-degree manslaughter and received 10 to 20 years in jail, although he only ended up serving 5. Arnie and Debbie married after he was released. For many years after the horrifying events of 1980, the rocking chair remained in storage. When the Glatzel family later moved, it went with them. However, over time, it became apparent that there was something very wrong with the chair. Whoever sat in the chair, whether innocently or because they knew its strange history, were suddenly stricken with incapacitating sciatica or abnormal back problems. Some were so bad that they required surgery. One close family member was unable to walk upright more than 10 years after testing the legend of the chair. So, the chair is now in the possession of Mr. Zach Bagans.
That it is.
And it's in his museum today. And I actually remember like a news clip of him daring a news reporter.
It was a reporter, went in to like kind of do a story on his museum, and he was quite skeptical. And he's like, oh, well, this is the story. You want to sit in it?
No.
And the reporter's like, oh, it's just a chair.
He wouldn't sit in it, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so this has more layers than appears, okay? Because this has to do with where are your religious beliefs? Mm-hmm. How much stock do you put in Ed and Lorraine Warren? Mm-hmm. Do you believe in possession? Mm-hmm. There's a lot to this, right?
There is.
There's a lot to this. The movie was excellent.
It was it was actually one of the better of.
It was the best of them. Yes, honestly,
it was the better of all of the groups of movies.
Yeah, what are they called? The
Conjuring.
The
movies?
Conjuring movies. There you go. In my opinion, it's by far the best one.
It was really good.
I'm sure I'm going to get crucified for this, but I did not like the first one. I thought it was very cheesy. This one, though, it was just better. I just liked it a lot better.
Yeah, I think it was more. They had a lot more realism, I think, than a lot of the other ones. So it made it a lot more real, obviously, for lack of a better word that I can't think of right now. But it was a great movie.
And Arnie Johnson, I've seen him actually appear in some YouTube videos and stuff like that. Like he's around. And he seems like a great guy.
Yeah.
Right? But a lot of people have went to prison for murder and come back out a great guy. So I don't really, if I had to give an answer today, right now, of what I think, I think it was a pretty clever way to try to get away with murder. I am not religious. I'm sorry.
I know you are not religious. So I don't think that this was something made up for Arnie's way to get out of murder so much as like there might have been mold or something in the house and people started having hallucinations due to it. And
maybe. I mean, we could go way in on this, right?
Yeah.
Like way in. It could have been all kinds of things.
I mean, I just don't know.
I'm going to let the cat out of the bag on something here that I don't think I've ever shared on the show.
Oh, Lord. I think you did a long time ago.
And please, listeners, if you don't agree with me, don't stop listening just because you don't agree with me.
I know
it's
what
fine.
you're going to say.
But I'm going to say it. Okay? Just remember, I'm only human too, people. I think Ed and Lorraine Warren are really fake. I think everything they did was incredibly fake. I think they figured out years before television that there was an entertainment value to paranormal. And I'm not knocking them for it. And I'm not even saying that this takes away from there being real paranormal out there.
Right.
I'm not saying that there hasn't been a chance. Maybe they have run into something. But I think for the majority of it, Ed and Lorraine Warren were full of the stuff. But I would have still loved to have met them and heard their stories. I'd still love to go see their museum and everything, because the chances of them actually having real stuff is very high.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
I mean, they became huge.
And even the things...
Huge in the paranormal community.
But even the things that they ran into that might have been real, I'm sure they were built way up. Maybe a tap on the wall became a demon spewing vomit across the room and stealing babies. And
I could kind of see that. I could kind of see that a little bit. So you then don't think Lorraine had?
No. Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Not even a little bit. Nope. And I mean, I'm sure Ed was a real demonologist as far as he was concerned. And I'm not look, I know I'm being harsh and I'm sorry, but I've just seen a lot of things that really shows how they would have done all this. And the camera angles that they used, it's the same trickery they do on YouTube now.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I appreciate Ed and Lorraine Warren, though, because without them, people wouldn't be as fascinated with this as we are now.
I think it would still be almost like not necessarily as much of a taboo thing as it was back in the day to talk about, like paranormal and all that. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. See, I'm going to leave my opinion out of this one, and I'm going to leave this one all to you.
Man. People could hate me. I don't care. But
I don't think anybody's going to hate you. Everybody has their own opinion.
Okay, look, during the Wild West, right? And they started.
Oh God!
No,
where is this
just
going?
Let me get to it.
Okay.
So in the Wild West, they started to bring in lawmen, right?
Yeah.
They started to have people be lawmen, and they wore a badge and they were like the police, but they were as bad as the criminals, right?
Okay.
But they built a foundation that would later become actual law and order. That is why you can sleep at night without getting stabbed and beaten to death while people take your stuff, depending on where you live.
Okay.
So Ed and Lorraine are the less harsh version of that, where they built the foundation for modern day people to be able to comfortably and openly be interested in this kind of stuff, and there to be other people that they could share this interest with, right? Without Ed and Lorraine, I don't think we would have all this that we have now.
I agree
They're
with
pioneers.
that statement. Yeah,
They are pioneers.
I do agree with that.
I just think a lot of it was built on very distrustworthy things.
Okay. And just to put it out there, I want everyone to know that before he just went on that Wild West rant, he pulled up his sleeves.
I did.
Pulled up his sleeves.
Okay, look. I knew I had to get serious. But what do you think? The Devil's Rocking Chair is very interesting.
It is interesting. I don't know how I quite feel about the whole demonic possession and exorcisms, and
It's a tough one.
it is a tough one. It really is. Like, do I think that there's things out there that can do these things to people? Yeah. Do I think it's as common?
It's called marriage.
Do I think it's as common as it has seemed to be over the years? No, I do not.
Okay, that's fair. I'm going to be uncharacteristic of myself right now, and I'm going to say that I believe something happened. I still think it was a clever way to try to beat a murder case. Mm-hmm. But I think something happened in that house.
Okay.
I don't know what that is. It could have been mental illness. It could have been...
I can definitely get on board with that.
Something of like a ricin poisoning or something. But I think something happened in that house.
Right.
But I think the story of him and the landlord, I really think was an argument gone too far. But it is interesting because there's so many layers to this.
Yes. There's a lot. This is a lot.
There's a lot to explore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess that's where we'll leave that. We'll get on to the next one, but we're going to have to do it after an ad break.
And now, Booze Crew, back to the list.
Okay. So now we're going to move on to another website, and this is news24.com. It's like a news affiliate who broke down a bunch of haunted things.
Okay.
These are a little bit shorter, so we're going to get to a few more.
Unless we go on rants again.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we're going to go on rants. I can't help myself. Okay, number one on there is called the Myrtles Plantation Mirror. I'm sure a lot of people know the Myrtles Plantation.
I do know Myrtles Plantation.
I mean, it has been thoroughly covered.
Yes.
Known as one of America's most haunted homes and the alleged site of as many as 10 murders, this antebellum mansion in St. Francisville, Louisiana, also boasts a highly mysterious mirror, purchased by the home's owners sometime 3 or 4 decades ago. The mirror is said to contain the ghost of Sarah Woodruff, the original mistress of the house, and her children. Custom dictates that mirrors should be covered when someone dies so that the soul of the deceased doesn't get caught in the mirror instead of ascending to heaven. Apparently, at Sarah's death, the mourners abandoned tradition. Now, visitors at Myrtles Plantation have reported seeing handprints materialize in the mirror and long drip marks, which no amount of cleaning can ever remove. This is a lot of folklore into something.
It is.
But I got to tell you, of all the ones so far, this is probably the most appealing to me. I'm not going to lie.
I want to be like, souls go into a mirror, but who knows what happens? Who knows where things could go?
Who knows if you have a soul?
If you're listening to this, you either you're kind of a believer, or you might be on the border of being more of a skeptic, or you might fully believe, right? So, spirits, what happens? Nobody knows. So could they go into a mirror? Absolutely.
I'm going more surface level with this, right? Because, all right, we do a lot of thrift shopping.
Yes.
Have you ever just like seen something in a store, you're just like, this is cool, but I get a creepy vibe from this. I'm not buying this.
100%.
Right? So this goes along with almost like exactly what we were talking about at the beginning, just to build this episode up, was that maybe this was just something she liked. And this is her mirror.
She attached herself to it.
Now, I remember like my mom getting mad at me when I was a kid for sweeping. I was sweeping the floor and then I swept it out the door. Do you know that one?
Yes, I do.
You know, you're sweeping your family's souls out the door. And I laughed at it back then too, but it's like superstition. There's superstition built in.
Yeah.
And I don't know. To me, your soul getting sucked into a mirror is on the same level of you can't take somebody's picture because it steals their soul.
Right.
You know, so for me, this is more appealing to me because this is like a loved item that somebody couldn't let go of even in death.
Yeah.
So to me, so far, this is my favorite one. Because it's more grounded in what I believe, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to say that when it comes to the Myrtle's Plantation mirror, I think there is more of a possibility than any of these other ones for some kind of energy to be attached to it, because if you like something enough in life that a piece of your energy sticks to it after you're gone and hangs around with it, then maybe something is happening. Maybe it is, you know, maybe the reflections that you see are reflections of the past. Maybe the dripping down the mirror is when she cleaned it because she loved it. But I believe that of all the things so far, this is the one I could see the most. I
100% agree with you. I also think that a lot of the, you know, soul getting stuck in the mirror, you know, when they passed and needing to cover it, and same as taking the picture thing, I think a lot of that is more the folklore part of it. But the actual, you know, spirit and energy, soul part of it is what is going on. Like you said, you know, she absolutely loved the mirror. And might I add, it is in Louisiana.
Yeah, like the most haunted place in the world.
Probably one of the most haunted places in the United States.
I mean, that is
so,
like, I mean, it's not the birthplace of voodoo, but it is the homeland.
Correct.
You know, it's voodoo central. So, I mean, there are so many claims of spooky things happening in Louisiana.
Absolutely.
Ah, man. Maybe we took the wrong route. Maybe we should have went through Louisiana. It was going to be a hot travel. That's why we didn't.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I remember driving, and I hate to get off on a tangent here, but I remember we were glad we didn't because there was a nasty storm that went through the whole South.
Yes, I do remember
that. We would have
that.
got caught in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But to me, I'm going to give this one a yes for now until I can prove to myself that there's no possible way.
I am too. I'm on board.
Nice.
I can definitely see this being a definite haunted thing.
But if you want to hear more about this, you know what to do. For the boost12gmail.com or anywhere else on social media that we're found. Thank you. Now, I think the next one's going to be a little bit in the realm of folklorish as well, and it's called The Hands Resist Him. It's a painting by Bill Stoneham.
Okay.
Now, a sullen boy with sightless eyes stands in front of a door next to a creepy girl doll with a vaguely ventriloquist smile and jointed limbs. Behind them, several pairs of childish hands are pressed against the glass of the door. Painted by artist Bill Stoneham, The Hands Resist Him is considered one of the world's most haunted artworks. In 2000, a California couple put the eerie picture up for sale on an online auction site with a warning to potential buyers. Apparently, come nightfall, the figures in the painting would move or disappear, or the odd-looking boy would actually enter the room where the painting hung. People who viewed the painting complained of feeling sick or weak, or as if unseen hands were grabbing them. According to Stoneham, the painting is based on a childhood photograph of himself at age 5. The doorway symbolizes a threshold between worlds. The doll acts as his guide through these worlds, in between waking and dreaming. the hands represent other lives. While Stoneham was surprised by all of the supernatural speculation surrounding the painting, he did concede that both the owner of the first gallery to ever show the hands resist him and the art critic who reviewed it both died within 1 year of first seeing the painting.
Okay. First of all, when you started reading that, the visual...
It was good. It was written well.
That I got, I did not like. Do not recommend. Like, I don't want to see that. And then the rest of the story, I literally got goosebumps.
It is creepy.
No thank you.
Why would you paint that? Right? Why would you
feel
paint
like he
that? And
just,
who
like-
was the person who wants to buy that? That is not something I want to hang in my house.
How did you end up with that?
Jeez, man. Burn it.
I don't even know what to say. That just like threw me off so much.
Well, see, to me, this is like this dude's alive, right?
Right.
This dude's he's alive, and he was like, "Yeah, this is just a representation of me and past lives." And
But who paints stuff like that?
I don't get this one.
Dream worlds. And
Is this a coincidental thing, like though, because two people who viewed it died? So now, bam, the story snowballed into this is the most haunted painting in the world.
quite possibly, but the people who put it up for sale, did they buy it, own it, and only have things happen when they had the painting?
Did they hear the story first?
Don't know.
Did they buy it after they heard the story?
I don't know.
Were they like, "Oh, this is cool"?
Would Stoneham have only heard about it after they posted it?
Okay, but here,
So they would have only known the story after he came out
maybe
about it
but
after.
Look, I'm going to hit you from a different angle.
Okay.
What possesses a man to paint this kind of picture?
I don't want to know.
Was it something else working through him? To maybe put something on canvas that could enter the world?
Okay. Goosebumps again. Just saying. Side note. Yeah, I don't like this at all. I don't. Nope.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me.
Oh, God, I don't like
It
that laugh.
reminds me of the painting from Ghostbusters 2. Fico the Destroyer. Where he comes to life and takes over New York City.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
I don't. This is a very strange one.
I would say if you bought this painting, open your septic tank and make sure there's not like a pink sludge in it like in Ghostbusters, because you're going to have to call the boys in if
That's
there
funny.
is. But no, like, so there's only two options here it's just complete and utter nonsense, or did something work through this man? Because it is such a weird thing to paint.
I mean, I know a lot of artists are kind of out there,
But this is weird.
This is really weird.
You know,
That's where I was going. This is super weird.
The weirdest part about it isn't the picture itself. It's the fact that it's a picture of himself.
With a doll guiding him between worlds. Like,
While hands pull in between.
Like,
That's
what?
That's what
No.
I'm saying. Like, it would be weird if anybody painted this. It's even weirder that it's him. Mm-hmm. What made him do that?
at specifically 5 years old. Like, what? I don't get it.
So I'm gonna have to I'm gonna be on the fence about this one. This is one I would have to know more about.
I'm definitely on the fence about this one.
Yeah, I would have to hear more stories. I'd have to read a bit more. But what a weird and creepy thing to do. If I can find pictures of that painting, I am going to post them with this episode.
I don't want to know. I don't want to look.
Don't look up the episode.
I don't want to know.
But super, super weird.
That is weird.
Okay, the next one is called The Haunted Wedding Dress.
Ooh.
It's yours.
No, it's not. It's upstairs in the closet.
It's been haunting me ever since.
You're funny.
I know. In 1849, wealthy Anne Baker fell in love with a low-class steelworker, but her class-obsessed father, Elias, forbade the marriage and drove Anna's beloved away from their hometown of Altoona.
Rude.
Anna died a bitter and broken-hearted woman. Eventually, the Baker mansion was transformed into a museum, and visitors could view Anna's unused wedding dress inside a glass case in her bedroom. Now, reportedly, the garment is haunted, often seen moving on its own side to side or shaking violently within its glass case. The mansion is also reportedly the site of other hauntings. David Baker, Anna's brother, was killed in a steamboat accident in the winter of 1852. Screams have been heard from the basement where David's body was stored until the ground thawed enough for him to be buried. Now, this is another one of those, it's a very beloved item.
Yeah.
Okay, if this woman died, still brokenhearted,
Resenting her dad.
this, I know I've already said this, but now that we've read this one, this would probably be the top candidate for me to believe something is attached to this feelings-wise.
Agreed.
Because she carried this with her even to the day she died. So I could see this having an emotionally filled something attached to it.
A very big emotionally filled something.
Absolutely.
Like multiple layers. I mean, she's super peeved at her dad.
Peeved. Nice.
Yeah.
What next, Grandma?
You know what?
Come on, Shirley, give it to me. You're the only one that's going to know what I said.
Oh my God. I lost my train of thought.
You're right. Her dad,
Oh, okay.
her dad did her really wrong.
Yeah, her dad did her wrong. She was super in love with this guy that she met, super strong feelings, and then, to be kind of forced away from him and like torn away from him because he was sent away, and just kind of the longing after, if she never moved on, but she still held on to this thing that represented that. It's a lot of emotion.
I mean, there's a commitment there if you've already got the dress.
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
And man, history is so gross when it comes to girls. He forbade her. I mean, he could have been like, it's not my first choice, but do what you got to do. I mean, if your dad was like, no, I'd have been like, okay. I asked, but
Yeah.
I'm still going to go out with her. But I could see this though. Like this was a different time too. Like
Yes.
people, in my opinion, loved differently. The idea of divorce wasn't as openly accepted as it is today.
Oh, absolutely.
So like you didn't marry somebody unless you really loved that person.
Right.
Right. Even if the marriage ended up being garbage later, at least at the time, this was your person that you were going to live with forever. So having already had that mindset, then to be let down, then to be stuck in the house with the person who chased that away and constantly staring at this reminder of what could have been the best day of your life. I could see this really being the biggest candidate for having something attached to it, because that's a lot of feelings.
It is.
It's a lot of different feelings.
It really is. And I feel like the violent shaking, I don't think I'm sold on, but definitely like
I
the
don't know.
swaying of the dress in this case.
I don't know.
I think that'd be super creepy for one.
I could see the violent shaking. I don't know. Like maybe she's so mad at it,
Well, yeah.
I don't know. So this is one that I'm gonna give this another guess. I think something could be there for this one, and the fact that do you remember when we did Asylum 40 whatever number it was?
Yes.
Right, and we talked about how weird it is that they would store dead bodies in a room.
Yes.
Same thing.
Yep.
Same thing. Stop doing that.
Yeah. Please
Stop.
don't.
My basement's cold. Don't put any dead bodies here. I don't care. Put them outside. That's gross for one, and for two, like you're just asking for it.
100%. Like they sit down there for.
Could you imagine sleeping upstairs with a dead body in the basement?
Nope. No, thank you.
Absolutely not.
No.
No. What if it wakes up in the middle of the night and is hungry for brains?
Ugh.
Actually, he'd be safe here, but that's besides the point. Anyways, moving on. All right, so I think we've got enough. We can do one more.
Okay.
One more. This one's called. I'm not 100% sure on how to pronounce this, but I think it's the Kohinoor. It's the Kohinoor diamond. I'm pretty sure. I've never heard of this. Actually, a few of these I've never heard of. Allegedly stolen from the god Krishna, the Kohinoor, Mountain of Light is what it means. Diamond boasts an impressive 109 carats, and a deadly price for any man who owns it.
Whoa, that's huge.
Now, the curse dates back to a Hindu text from 1306. Quote, "He who owns the diamond will own the world, but will also know all its misfortunes. Only God or a woman can wear it with impunity." Unquote. That's deep. That's deep.
Very ominous.
Now, according to lore, the rulers who have owned the Kohinoor diamond lived lives of violence, murder, and torture. The British royal family has owned the Kohinoor since the reign of Queen Victoria. Wary of the legendary curse, the royals have always willed the diamond to the male heir to the British throne. Wow. There's not a lot to this one, honestly, other than a really old text. But man, let me read that text again, because that is creepy.
It is very creepy.
"He who owns the diamond will own the world, but will also know all of its misfortunes. Only God or a woman can wear it with impunity."
It's so creepy.
I feel like a big stone door should open somewhere. Like, that is...
Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, this is one, I'm going to come right off rip and say I think it's not true.
Right.
But man, that's cool. That's
It
cool.
is cool.
People back in the day were very superstitious about
Yes.
everything.
Everything.
And you would think, okay, that because it's owned by the royal family, right? You would know a lot more about this.
I mean, I don't see the royal family generation after generation having many misfortunes.
You don't? Have you seen the size of the king's fingers? He's got these sausage fingers, man. I know he's got something wrong with them.
However, a woman did rule for a very long time.
She did. But now she doesn't.
Correct. Rest in peace.
That's going to be your Ed and Lorraine. People are going to disagree with you on that.
Why?
Some people will.
Well, they can. That's fine.
It's just, for everything, there's a counter. It's just the human way. Nobody can be right ever.
That is true.
Unless you listen to the show, then you're always right.
That is true. But my Nana was alive, living in England.
She was a Brit.
When the queen...
And you know what? I want to go off record here. And,
when the queen...
saw a picture of her when she was young.
took the throne.
It's pretty hot.
Oh, my God. Stop it.
I can't help it. That picture was like 1944. Your grandma was a dime.
Right after the war.
Yeah, man. She was
Yeah.
looking good.
I know.
Grandma, yeah. All right, go ahead.
Gra-
I'll just keep this going and make it weird. Just
I know.
go ahead.
And it's not grandma, it's Nana.
She's not mine.
Stop. Moving on.
Go ahead.
I was done.
Okay. I threw you way off, but I don't know. This is just, I think, a fun story. I've never heard of it, and probably for good reason. It's just a good story. But I guess there's always the what if,
There is.
But
I don't know.
You would just, because it's owned by the royal family, you would know more about this.
I 100% agree.
Unless we're going to tie this to every bad thing that's ever happened. Like, what is Princess Di's death because of this? Because I think
You shush your mouth.
I'm just saying, like, all the things that have happened within the royal family bad. Okay, so this is the thing, right? You could blame it. But the only reason that the things that the royal family does seem so bad is because they get the spotlight every time something goes wrong.
Right.
Where
They're under a microscope.
I've had a lot of bad things happen in my family, but nobody knows about them because I'm not a royal person.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
everybody's family has good and bad things that happen in it, but you're not a royalty, so nobody knows about it.
Right.
So I don't know. It's a fun story.
It's very interesting. I've never even heard of anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy.
It's weird. But
It is weird.
But now look, if there was something that you were hoping to hear that didn't make the list, vote on it. I don't care. If there's a haunted item out there that you want to know about, that you want to hear a show about, or maybe you know all about and you want other people to hear about, write it into the show, and the things that get requested the most are what we're going to be covering for Halloween this year.
Absolutely. Send in your suggestions too. Like if there was something that you wanted to hear and you hoped we would talk about and we didn't.
But
let us know.
On Halloween, for our Halloween week episode, we are going to be talking about the royalty of all haunted items. The one that everybody knows. The one that everybody would probably be afraid of.
I know I am.
Yeah, me too. I wouldn't go near it.
Nope.
And I don't even know if I believe in it, but I know enough about it to where I don't want to test it.
I'm good. No, thank you.
So, where can they find us?
They can find us on Instagram at @forthebooze_podcast and on Facebook at @forthebooze.
You can also find us on Twitter, X Twitter, Elon Musk's social media at For the Booze. You can also find us on YouTube at For the Booze. And please come love us on TikTok. I'm working so hard on these things.
Yes, the tickety talks.
Man.
They're so good.
They're fun to make. They are fun to make, but it's quite disheartening that we don't really get much love on there. But I'm going to keep plugging away and trying.
They're so good. Come check them out. Seriously.
Well, thank you. And don't forget, we still want especially for the Halloween season, if you have a spooky story or something in that realm, or somebody else's story, or you have a suggestion, especially with this one, any haunted items, forthebooze12@gmail.com. And there's one more thing that we need you to do.
Yes, and that is rate and review.
5 stars, baby.
Yes, rate and review. Leave a comment if you'd like. It really helps out the show and will push us to be able to do bigger and better things.
Give me the 5 stars. But I guess this is where we're going to head out this week so we can get ready for spooky season.
Yes, Halloween time.
That's right.
So thank you, everybody, so much for listening, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye.